Hey, you guys, it's me, your host, Ashley Love Richards. It is so weird, y'all. Whenever I go to record anything by myself, whether it's announcements or an ad or a voiceover or whatever, I get so fucking nervous. All of a sudden, I can't breathe and I have to take a ton of fucking pauses and it's really awkward. And I don't know. I just thought I would share that with you guys. Okay, before we start today's episode, I have to get a couple of things out of the way. First of all, Patreon thank you shout outs. Holy fuck, I'm a little behind. So thank you so much to our newest devotees, Sarah Florence and Sarah H, Sarah D and Sarah H, and our newest Ride or Die members, Kuro, Michelle, Katarina, Emily, Selena, Sammy, Abby, Haley, Megan, Estilla, Aaron, Maria, Julia, Tammy, Courtney, Johnny, and Amanda. Y'all, thank you so fucking much. If you guys want to see what all the fuss is about, patreon.com/TSFU. Also, a listener reached out to me and asked if I could make a correction. And I just want to let y'all know that the answer to that is always. I'm always open to hearing when I make a mistake or if I've misunderstood something. Please, I'm never offended. I'm always happy to learn and to correct my mistakes. In the Dr. Phil episode, in episode 151 from April, Unqualified as Fuck, Dr. Phil and Decades of Destruction, I said that he sends kids to Turnaround Ranch, but it's actually called Turnabout Ranch. And my fucking goodness, y'all, a quick Google search and I found 319 Google reviews, 1.9 motherfucking stars. Turnabout Ranch says, Turnabout Ranch is a therapeutic boarding school in Utah. Here we instill troubled teens with the skills they need to change their lives. We do this by emphasizing the importance of individual and group therapy, academics, and hard work. Our at-risk youth program is also a real working cattle ranch where students learn concepts like leadership, blah, 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 accountability, responsibility, recommended by doctors and therapists, including Dr. Phil, and frequently featured in the media. Our acclaimed residential treatment program for teens has helped thousands of troubled youth get their lives back on track over the course of our 30 years in operation. So, Dr. Phil not only approved, Dr. Phil endorsed Turnabout Ranch in Garfield County, Utah, has a 1.9 motherfucking stars on Google reviews. So please, y'all, before you or anyone you know even considers this, listen to all my episodes on it. Follow Unsilenced Now and Meg Applegate and Yanya Lalick on Instagram. Watch The Program on Netflix. And yeah, I mean, like I said, just a quick Google search, and I was able to find that about Turnabout Ranch, not Turnaround Ranch. Shout out to all my TTI survivors, y'all fucking rock, and to all of my fellow childhood trauma survivors. Hope you guys are doing okay, and enjoy the episode.
He got a light switch installed under the guise of wanting to stay up later to read or something, but it was so that he could work on his escape once he was ready.
That is I can't believe they bought that. They're like, sure. You want light all night? Yeah, you're a reader. We get it.
Yeah. No worries, dude. I'll have your butler bring it to you and help you install it.
Yeah, sure. Go for it.
Do you need any night meals made by your personal chef?
Do you want us to wear noise-canceling headphones?
That is so fucked up. It's fucked up. So fucked up. It is just so damn fucked up. That's fucked up.
Hey, everybody. 6 seconds into the episode, we've got singing.
Which is good.
It's always a good sign.
I was about to say, it's always a good sign. We're like so on the same wavelength right now.
Yeah, which last recording, gosh, what episode was that? What was that?
I don't know.
We were tired.
It felt like 5 days and 65 days ago to me in the timeline of my life, so I don't know when it was.
Hold on. I think I can see really quick. Can I?
We were talking about Brian Schaefer, the disappearance of Brian Schaefer. Schaefer.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the disappearance of Brian Schaefer.
Which,
But
yeah.
I did end up solving the mystery. So,
that's right.
I mean, we were a little bit all over the place because 8 p.m., it's late. But I did solve the mystery. So, I don't know. Hey, you guys, welcome back to this show that you're listening to.
Which is...
This is That's So Fucked Up, a podcast about cults, crime, and other things that make you say, ugh, that's so fucked up. We are your hosts. I'm Ashley Love Richards.
And I'm Fallon Maury.
And we just whoosh,
Nailed it.
Nailed it. And you guys, today we have something a little different. It's not a cult. It's crime. It's crime adjacent. But it's not a murder. It's not a cult. It's a guy, according to himself, he just loves smuggling shit. We all have our things. His was to smuggle. And who is this guy, Fallon? Who are we talking about?
David McMillan, probably most famously known as being a Thai prison escapee. Thai prisons apparently are not easy to escape from.
Well, hopefully most aren't. I mean, I'm glad he did because I know this story a little bit.
But I guess this is like absolutely unheard of. And so he is, I think, the only person to have successfully escaped a Thai prison.
What show was he on? Was it not I Survived?
He has been on a bunch, but hold on. I have a list. He has been on a show in Australia called The Man Who Got Away. He's I don't know. He's been on a bunch of like YouTube channel shows about escaping.
It's like a Discovery Channel show. Oh, this is gonna.
I'm looking. A Discovery Channel show. Maybe I Survived.
Okay, maybe I'm tripping. I don't know.
In any case, he is the only Westerner, I guess they mean Western, like Western Hemisphere, who has successfully done so in decades, if not ever. He left a country with death warrants that are still out for him to this day. And he has openly talked about it ever since, kind of ending up back in Britain where he's from. And he's also committed a fuckload of crimes that, got him in that position, I guess.
So he's a lovable criminal.
I mean, from all the YouTube videos I watched of him, he's pretty fun to watch. He's just like this quirky little British dude that just like talks about how much he loved smuggling and, how good he was at it. Like he's pretty chill.
Hey, we've all got our strengths. Right?
He is now, yeah. I mean, for some it's smuggling. For me, it's Thomas Kincaid puzzles. Yes. Maybe we should do like a listener contest. You win the contest as a listener, and I'll send you your very own assembled Thomas Kincaid puzzle.
Oh my God, you guys. Drop a puzzle piece in the comments if you're into it. Is there an emoji puzzle piece? I feel like there is.
I wouldn't know. I still have to be told to click twice on the picture. It took Ashley
You guys, that's facts. That's not even a joke.
It took Ashley a year to teach me to click once in the chat, and then a second year to teach me to click on it again to get rid of all the stuff at the top and bottom.
And you know what, you guys? I deserve better than that. I deserve better than having to tell people, bro, you didn't see the whole fucking thing if you didn't get all the context. I can tell.
I'm learning.
Okay, wait. I'm seeing if a puzzle piece exists on emojis because, like, why wonder when you could find out immediately?
It does.
It does.
Then drop a puzzle piece in that chat.
Drop a puzzle piece.
That includes our friends in the Discord, which you can get to by going to tsfuthepodcast.com and clicking play with us.
Nice.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which actually I'm going to check the link because somebody said that it doesn't go there. They lied. It does. So the link is active, you guys. You can also click play with us and play bingo. I guess today would be fucked up bingo. And you can fucking check out our Patreon and all that jazz. So yeah, I'm going to play fucked up bingo today because I haven't played bingo in a hot minute and I want to have fun. And it's my show and I can play if I want to.
So are we ready to dive straight in today? All right.
I'm so ready.
Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
So David McMillan is a British and Australian man. He is officially a retired drug dealer / smuggler. So he calls himself retired. He was born in London in April of 1956, but he moved to Australia with his mother when he was a child after his parents separated. And he sort of had this start as this, like, I don't know, talented up and coming little kid. He started to present the children's news on a news program at like 12 years old. They had a nightly news segment and he got on air and would like tell the news.
Big whoop. Didn't we all?
I read the morning announcements at my school once when I was 11. BFD, right?
Heyo. Hey. And then you rose your way to the ranks of podcast stardom, right?
And I think I'm up to like 48 followers, which is big deal.
Yeah, you are, girl. Yeah, you are. You guys follow us on social media. I'm at Ashley Love Richards.
And I'm at Fallons.files.
Yeah, there's a dot in there.
Because Fallon's files with no dot was apparently taken. But
Really?
Ash came up with my name. So before I was a host.
Love the alliteration. You know what do. Tell me what he did.
After he announced the news, in his teens, he stayed close to the whole entertainment industry. He worked in a movie theater in his teens. And while he was working there, I mean,
I'm sorry. I think it's really hilarious that you say that him working at like a local news station and the movie theaters is being in the
because like while he was
entertainment
there, he also
industry.
did stuff like on the camera. Hold on a second. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. I work down at Regal Cinemas. I'm in the entertainment industry.
So basically, he was presenting on the news, but he also worked as a camera operator for some various projects in Australia and a cinema projectionist. I guess that's what they call it at the movie theater. He also had a slight career in advertising. So he was working sporadically in the entertainment industry, but then during the part-time job at the cinema, Judgy, who's Judgy McJudgerson.
Judgy Judgerson.
You know what? I deserve better.
Like he did the morning announcements at school and worked at the movie theaters and just continued to work in the entertainment
I missed
industry.
the middle part. Like I said, I deserve better. Calm down.
Love
it. While this is right out of this guy's mouth, while he was working at the theater, he met a family of who he called retired villains. Like, I don't know if they just show up in their like black clothes.
Interesting. He didn't explain why?
He said they were sort of like they were retired, what he called safe crackers. Basically, they had robbed people for a living. They chose with their retirement and their extra money to invest in the drug trade and get into smuggling. I guess they sat down and talked about their retirement plan and went, you know what? In retirement, we should take the money we've earned by robbing people and smuggle drugs with it.
And we'll find our drug smugglers down
working
at the local
in the entertainment
cinema
industry.
Wait, but that is where he met them. How do you strike up that convo in that line of work? Do you want butter on your popcorn? No, but do you want to smuggle some drugs for us?
So he had been also helping to distribute this periodical that existed in Australia at the time that was about like legalizing drugs, and he was in favor of lifting bans on drugs like marijuana. And I think they might have known that he was like had that stance. And so plus they knew he had traveled in his life. So they were like, you know what? You, my friend, get ready for your golden opportunity.
Also, I'm going to kind of rethink what I said and guess that most people don't get into trafficking situations by somebody just going, hey, do you want to traffic some shit? Usually they're a little bit more groomed into it, or, people know how to introduce it without flat out saying, do you want to traffic drugs for us? Hey, do you want to take a vacation? We know you love traveling. We could pay for that vacation.
Yeah, and the way he describes it, he says like they wanted to get into smuggling, but they didn't actually want to do any smuggling.
Totally.
And he's like, I wasn't the type of guy that was gonna wave a gun around at anyone and rob them. But he said that he kept thinking about this idea of like, ooh, crossing a border of some country and secretly doing it and thinking about what it would be like to almost get caught and how you would hide what you were carrying. And he said that part of it intrigued him so much that he felt he couldn't resist it.
That part of it is what gives me would give me a panic attack.
Yes.
Thinking about almost getting caught. And that would be the part, like I would fantasize about how cool it would be to have a bunch of money afterwards and not be super broke ass. And also be like, and maybe like a fucking trip to Thailand won't be so bad. I wouldn't get all fancy and romantic about.
And it's interesting that you
caught.
say that because that's literally what he says at that part in his interview. In his one interview I watched, he says, if you hear me getting excited and talking about this really animatedly, it's because it's not because of the money. I spent the money or I gave the money to other people. I just really liked the intrigue of like the work I was doing. He did it. Yeah.
The work.
Literally, that's what lights that guy's fire. So, I mean.
Okay, listen. Is it just me or is your first thought when you hear, I just really like smuggling. I like sticking things in my ass. I feel like that's where a lot of smuggling is happening, in body cavities. And he doesn't have a vajayjay.
He was not actually smuggling within his person because he actually broke down sort of like what his typical smuggling operation looked like.
Okay. Did you not think it though at first before you heard the rest of the story? Okay. Yeah, I guess that's just me, huh?
My thoughts. This is just going to be a whole episode of each of us saying, I deserve better than you.
I deserve better than this, dude.
So his basic smuggling operation was, he would go to a country with, well, first I should start out by saying for background that at the time he started, which was in the early 70s, most drug smuggling traffic was between Colombia and in other areas of South America, and then in and around Thailand.
So coke is coming from Colombia.
Heroin. In and to heroin, I think. He didn't go into the like specifics of the drugs, but he also did a fair amount of business in Pakistan at the early part of his career. He made some pretty, I think not like high level, but the more powerful Pakistani clans at the time, he made sort of allies with them early in his career that end up helping him out later down the line. So his basic smuggling operation he talks about is he would devise sort of a new identity for whoever was going with him as his courier. So he would get them a new passport and he would sort of assign them to be like this new person.
So he always had a buddy?
Yeah, sometimes two buddies. So he would have one person that was set up to be like the courier. He had another person sometimes that would go with him that looked the most suspicious out of the group, but was carrying nothing. So then...
Oh, I was like, oh my God, a fall guy?
No,
That's
it was just somebody who looked like, oh God, that guy is definitely smuggling drugs. And then they would search the super suspicious looking guy and he's totally clean. So then the next two guys that look all clean cut, they're like, all right, no worries. Okay, go through. Thanks.
Don't judge a book by its cover, y'all. That book could be smuggling heroin.
That's where I smuggle my hair. No, I'm just kidding. I don't smuggle heroin.
No, just don't say that.
So
she takes it back.
Yeah, take it back. So the idea was that, if they get through, they're all good. He would go last in line through customs or whatever. The idea being if the suspicious looking guy gets stopped and the courier gets stopped, he still has some of the, I think, product on him and like his fake passports and credentials, but he could make a break for it and go figure out how to like fix the problem.
Okay. Yeah, it sounds well thought out.
So he wasn't specific about who would carry the bulk of the drugs, but basically that in case anyone was on to the courier in the group, they would essentially send that guy in a taxi to a fake meeting place with no drugs on him. So if the authorities found the guy, they're like chasing a guy who they're like, oh, sorry, dude, you're actually not carrying drugs, our bad. And then he's, off with his drugs. So he had it all figured out, I guess.
I think the 70s 40s was like the drug smuggling heyday, seems like.
Yeah, I would guess. But
right? I don't know. From movies I've seen, it seems like it.
Maybe.
From media.
True. But as we've already established, I don't really understand the entertainment industry. So, like, I haven't seen it as many movies. So the retired villains financed his first smuggling operation, which was actually in India, where he managed to hollow out a radio and fill it with hashish. He thinks he actually almost got caught during that one, but that the Border Patrol agency kind of took mercy on him because he was like a young looking guy and they didn't want to ruin his whole future. So even his financiers didn't expect this to work out for him, and it did. And then they were like, oh, dude, this is good. So anyway, we're not going to give you a rundown of every smuggling operation, but McMillan worked with a partner for a large part of his early career named Michael Sullivan. And together they built an operation that resulted in McMillan becoming a multimillionaire. He had houses and offices all over the world. He had millions of dollars. He was like the best in the biz. He was the smuggler, him and his buddy.
So he's doing it literally just because it's his jam. Like he doesn't need the money even at this point. Like he has
like house
plenty.
Yeah, and he said he didn't even love the money. He had houses and stuff, but he would just like give money to people. Like he just liked the smuggling.
I would like some rich friends that just love to give money away. If you're that person, you guys hit us up. Put 2 puzzle pieces in the comments.
McMillan doesn't have live, laugh, love above his door. He has like live, laugh, drug smuggling. Live, laugh, smuggle. Like
live, laugh, smuggle.
In sheet metal, above his bookcase.
Oh,
so
that's good.
Police eventually did catch up to his operation, and the partners, both him and his business partner, were arrested in 1982 during a law enforcement operation called Operation Aries. They arrested them for conspiracy to import heroin, and it involved 12 counts of importing drugs between 1979 and 1981. So they'd been on to him for a while, but they finally kind of caught up. McMillan himself was accused of traveling under 30 different false passports and keeping station houses in London, Brussels, and Bangkok. It was also determined by a medical assessor that both he and his partner, as well as their partners named, I don't know how to say this name, Celia Vigano and Mary Castillo, were habitual heroin users. But sadly, all of their partners died in a fire before they went on trial and went to prison, and only McMillan escaped from it. They all died suspiciously in a house fire.
Suspiciously?
Well, not suspiciously, but it's weird that he was the only one that got away. However, he was never connected with the crime of those people.
Do you think he had anything to do with it?
I don't know, because if you go to his website, he uses his website to promote the books he's written, but he has these time points from his story called out on there. And one of the first things he has on there is recovering or reeling from the tragic death of his first wife. So I don't get the sense that, unless that's a show, I would like to believe that maybe he, doesn't have anything to do with it. You don't find anything else brought up in his story in any of his future trials. There is never evidence of him killing anyone or murdering anyone or any of that. So it would be weird if it happened once and never again.
Right. And just because he likes to smuggle drugs doesn't mean he's a killer.
Yeah, exactly.
Those don't automatically go hand in hand. So just to let you know, this show I was looking for in my mind was Locked Up Abroad, but I actually don't know if he was on that show. So I literally have no fucking idea how I know about this story. I don't know the story well, but I have no fucking clue where I learned about this, but
somewhere on your trip down the rabbit hole.
Probably in the comments of a YouTube video about something totally different.
Right.
But
exactly.
Anywho, it's not that show. So if anybody was worrying about it, there's your answer.
So McMillan's trial for these crimes lasted half a year. It resulted in a hung jury that acquitted him on 11 of the counts. However, on one remaining count, he was sentenced to 17 years and ended up serving 11. He was paroled in 1993, and those were served in an Australian prison.
Okay. Does he say anything about his time there? It was upsetting or bad or fine?
He doesn't really say anything. That was just it was a prison. For him, it was a domestic prison. He was living in Australia. That was his home base. So for him, it was just, I guess, normal prison, normal day.
Just something that happens, potentially as part of the job, part of the hobby.
He does indicate that he, I think, feels like he was set up a little bit to either get, I think, a more severe punishment or to take some of the fall for this operation. He says that of all the money he had on him, he was only remained with, when he was arrested, he only had, I think, $10,000 on him. And he thinks the other $35,000 was taken by the cops, and feels that some of the documents that were in his possession were actually not his. But because he was known for smuggling, the drugs that they had on them at the time were like maybe planted there or somebody else's, and he was blamed for it. So
are you suggesting police corruption?
I don't know. I didn't suggest it. I think he suggested it.
Wow. That is crazy. That's super uncommon.
So, especially in the 1970s
Never
and
happens.
80s. Never.
Like, what?
So after he was paroled legally, he went to Thailand to retrieve some money that he had stored there during his, I guess, smuggling adventures. I'm guessing when he came out of prison, he was probably in the need for some extra funds. He says in his interview that his friend had said, like, don't go anywhere, don't do anything stupid, stay here, lay low for a little bit. You just got out of prison, hang out at my house. And he's like, no, I'm going to go to Thailand.
Boys just want to have fun.
The report was that, there are some different conflicting reports, but I'm going to take the one that was right from his mouth because I feel like that's the best source. So he was found at the airport, and that supposedly he had 20 grams of drugs on him. But this is where he says those weren't mine, because if those were mine, it would have been a lot more than 20 grams. Like, let's just be real.
Also, I don't think this dude would deny.
No, that's what I said. He wasn't like, yeah, that wasn't mine, because I would have had way more drugs than that. Like, that's amateur hour people. Who flies with 20 grams of heroin?
Yeah, that's bullshit. Get out of here.
So he describes like kind of getting through the airport, but seeing the police waiting for him. But they were trying to be so subtle and not like look directly at him, so he wasn't, suspicious of them waiting on him. So he was able to like side slip them, and basically while they were purposely not looking at him, he just got away. So he jumped in a taxi, he went to a hotel, and he made some phone calls, which he agreed was a dumb idea since they were probably actively looking for him. And then he went to a travel agency in Thailand, I guess, to try to arrange a flight back out. And there were 3 people there waiting to arrest him.
At the travel agency?
Yes.
Did he fucking make an appointment or some shit? What an idiot.
I don't know.
Or how? Well, I feel like he must have, or else how would they have known?
Right. He probably like made an appointment or called his buddy
He's being
over
way
there.
too cocky.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to chill and eat some fucking noodles, make some calls.
And remember in like I don't know if it was still like this in the early 90s. I don't think you could in the past, besides going to the gate at the airport, you couldn't go online and buy a plane ticket. You were either going to go to the airport and buy your plane tickets at the airport, or you went to a travel agency who could book you your plane ticket. I'm sure that for the 20 years before that he was smuggling and they were like following him, they probably learned where all his like places were.
Yeah.
This is the travel agency that McMillan uses. If he wants to fly, he's going here, The
idea of just going to the airport to me is insane.
Yeah.
Maybe people called airlines too?
Maybe.
Interesting. I'm curious now.
I don't know.
Huh.
You always see it in movies where the main character's going after the girl that they let get away, and they go to the airline counter like, what do you got for tonight to San Diego?
Yeah,
Like,
that's the only time
they go.
Or unless you're in Home Alone and you're the parents who, for the second time, have left your child. Home Alone 2?
Right.
Come on.
Which
Really?
is why
Get it
people say
together.
after the first time it's an accident. After the second time, you're just a bad parent.
Yeah, you're just straight up abandoning Kevin again.
Yeah.
Right?
We don't give a fuck about Kevin, clearly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they arrest him and they take him to Klong Prem Central Prison, which was sort of jokingly referred to as the Bangkok Hilton.
Probably because it's so nice.
He describes it and says that he was put in a space that was big enough for 16 people, and there were about 200 people crammed in together, sleeping on the floor.
Whoa.
One of the greatest deterrents for fleeing these maximum security prisons and why it was so, kind of crazy that he got out was because, the prisons themselves were pretty hardcore and they did a lot to crack down on that kind of escape. He says that while they were in prison, prisoners could kind of run the show during the day. But if anybody tried to escape, that was the big trigger. He describes that one time he saw a group of 5 people attempting to escape. They didn't get very far. They didn't even get outside the security area. And they were thrown in a small cell with all 5 of them and brought out one by one repeatedly to be beaten by the Thai prison guards. He said within a few days, 4 of the 5 were dead.
From being beaten so much?
Yes.
They got beat to death?
Yeah.
I was going to say, oh my God, bro. I was going to be like, oh, I'm surprised they didn't just get executed for that. Oh, they did. Just tortured to death, though.
Right. So if people think that if I try to escape and I'm quickly killed, oh, well, but if I am slowly beaten to death, that's a better deterrent for the rest of the population to see that.
Absolutely. If you just get shot down while you're trying to hop the fence,
right.
Fuck, bro, that is gnarly.
Also, it's interesting because he describes that for the average prisoner, the typical drug dealer thrown in the Thai prison, they would experience dealing with pestilence, sometimes just death from the bad conditions, diseases, AIDS ran rampant.
What's pestilence?
Bugs
Oh.
being infested.
Ugh.
Half starving. He, however, went into his Thai prison having a decent amount of money. So he was essentially able to get access to anything he wanted. He had his own personal chef, servants, and an actual sanitary toilet.
You can buy comfort in prison, from what I've heard.
He said he actually missed the guy who was his prison assistant, whose name was Jet. And it was his butler, basically, in prison.
Go answer my cell door.
Right. So that was the other deterrent for some prisoners, because if they were rich enough and they went in there and had connections, they could maintain this, as long as they didn't escape, which seemed to be the big no-no, they could maintain this super luxe kind of prison lifestyle, however long their money lasted. Interestingly enough, that was a deterrent because people are well, if you don't execute me and you let me live luxury in here and I don't have to do bad things anymore, I won't escape. Fine. I'll stay here. Because he had access to so many resources, he was able to get access to kind of everything he wanted and might need for a future escape. And about 2.5 years into his stay in the prison, he found out that he was going to be moved to a place called Bang Kwang Prison, also known as the Big Tiger. This was a really a very different kind of prison than he was in. And he knew that he had been officially accused of possession of a drug and possession of false documents, which meant he knew he was staring at the death penalty, I think by firing squad, within days of his transfer.
I think it is so fucking wild how many countries, because this is not just Thailand, are so fucking hardcore on drugs, but then rape and shit is a slap on the wrist.
Right.
But drugs, you're dead. Straight to hell.
Right.
It's crazy.
So he starts planning. He has to find a time where he could be unguarded during the duration of the escape. He gets access to a cell phone to coordinate while he's still there. He's going to be transferred, I think, in a couple of weeks. So he gets access to a cell phone. He can scope out the prison extensively from people on the outside. He also organized getting a passport made available to him on the outside of the prison for when he escaped. He got a light switch installed under the guise of wanting to stay up later to read or something, but it was so that he could work on his escape once he was ready.
That is a fucking, I can't believe they bought that. They're sure. You want light all night? Yeah, you're a reader. We get it.
Yeah. No worries, dude. I'll have your butler bring it to you and help you install it.
Yeah, sure. Go for
Do
it.
you need any night meals made by your personal chef?
Do you want us to wear noise canceling headphones overnight shift? Because we get it if you do,
We get it. Yeah. We just, some people like to get loud when they read.
Right. I know I do.
I'm a
loud reader.
I'm a screaming reader. So I'm a
I
screamer.
deserve better, Fallon. You guys, I deserve better than this.
Just wait till our next retreat. I'm just going to scream the words of my books all night. I'm just kidding. He describes in the most jovial tone, he got his partner or his former partner to send him a care package, and it had cigarettes that he could trade with the guards and the other prisoners to like stay clear when he needed them to. He got pornography that he said would even embarrass a Thai prison guard to keep them distracted. At first he says distracting materials, and then he says pornography that would embarrass anyone, and also 6 blades that he could use that should more quietly be able to cut through the bars of his cell.
Wait, why is the porn embarrassing? I don't understand why it has to be.
I think he's saying it's like super, super dirty and weird shit, and there's a lot of weird shit that they publish in some of those countries.
Why would that, I guess it would just distract them more because instead of just like, oh, look, here's some titties. They're like, what is this?
Yeah.
Okay. I get it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, it's got to be pretty bad if in a country like Thailand, it's so bad it embarrasses the like guards,
And I just want to make clear that that's because Thailand has a reputation for a lot of sex work and sex trafficking, and
right,
not because of anything having to do with race. It's just that's a fact about Thailand. Is it's a hotbed for sex trafficking and sex crimes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of very risque sexual shows that are put on there, probably by sex trafficked victims, largely
goldfish shows.
Thai prison guards may have seen a lot of stuff already is the point based on that. Yeah, good call out. He also gets his 6 blades. He says he started cutting the bars of his cell at around 11:15. And then he pauses during his interview to say, so if anyone out there is thinking about escaping from prison, don't pace it out during the daytime. At night, you can hear a pin drop. Like your timing during the night will not match how you time this during the day.
There's dudes sitting in prison taking notes. They're like, okay. The guard's like, what are you watching in there? Nothing. Not at night.
Gather round for Uncle David's story time, kiddos. Maybe there's kids in daycare that are like, all right, not during the daytime. He said that even with what was supposed to be a quiet blade, cutting the bars sounded like screams of protest. So he had to go very, very slow.
Well, they're metal bars?
Right. And metal blades. I would
assume that would make some noise. Yeah.
Right. But I guess versus making a prison shiv, he had gotten someone to send him high quality, thick, sharp, super sharp metal blades. It shouldn't have been trying to cut prison bars with a butter knife. It should have been a little bit better, but still.
How did he get that sent to him too?
That was in the care package with the cigarettes and the pornography.
They didn't check that care package very thoroughly.
No,
if at all.
Clearly. He said it took him 2 hours to cut through the majority of his cell bars. He, at that point, didn't know if he should proceed or wait, but basically said, again, Uncle David's prison escape tips. If you have a choice when you're escaping between staying or going, you should always go.
Okay. So he says, like, if you're in prison, try to get out of there, y'all. That's his.
As fast as possible.
That's great advice.
He said that the man he described as his, and this is a direct quote, Swedish Viking friend held back a bar to give him 6 additional inches to escape, and he shimmied his way out of there. He, I guess, had also potentially threatened one of his cellmates with death if he alerted anyone. And he originally was going to have an accomplice in his escape and have someone with him, but that person still helped him escape. I think that was his Swedish Viking friend, he called them. McMillan later says that it's probably good he was on his own because 2 people would have had to like discuss things and make decisions and probably would never have escaped.
Can you imagine though, seeing somebody else escape and being like, fuck, I was supposed to be with them?
Or you're in there when the bars are bent back and they know that you did it and now you're in the beat down hole.
No, Fallon.
I don't know that that's what happened.
I know, but I'm sure it did. Ugh.
I wasn't there. He deserved better. So McMillan slid to the ground on nylon webbing before navigating the rest of the prison in the dark, which turned out to be harder than expected because he ended up having to like find a quick place to hide from a guard who was patrolling that he wasn't expecting. And then he was able to continue. He had to quickly make his own ladder out of bamboo poles, gaffer tape that he had that he also managed to somehow smuggle in, and picture frames he had taken apart. And he used the homemade ladder to climb up over a 40-foot high wall.
Okay, MacGyver.
I know, right?
He's like, I just real quick threw together a ladder with some bamboo and tape and picture frames.
Yeah. Studio set.
And then I made a bomb out of a toothpick and a pineapple.
That might have helped him, but instead he had to wade through a creek full of raw sewage. He had also taken with him drinking water in bottles that he had collected over time. So after he got out of the creek, he washed his body off and dressed in very definitive non-prisoner clothing that he'd managed to smuggle in and out, complete with rubber shoes, which he used to go over the prison's electrified fence. He said he felt only small surges of electricity through his feet twice, but it didn't hurt him before he got to the ground below. And as the coup de grace, he donned an umbrella he had brought with him, which he had actually gotten because he was supposed to do a job in the prison and he paid someone else to do it because he didn't want to work, and he kept the umbrella. He used the umbrella as a means of disguise to look like a guard just walking around as he left the prison grounds. Basically credits the umbrella with his escape, saying escaping prisoners don't carry umbrellas.
Hear that, y'all? Have an umbrella with you.
It wasn't the intense planning or the smuggling or the mapping or the ladder made out of bamboo and picture frames. It was apparently all the umbrella.
Wait, that sounds like it went really fucking smooth, though.
Right. Maybe there were little hiccups on the way, but I've read probably, 5 different articles that describe it, and it's pretty much the same every time. He just got to the next obstacle, and it was like a literal escape room. I mean, that's what they're based on. He says he was really lucky it rained that night, so he didn't look suspicious, because it would have been weird to have his face disguised by an umbrella. Like, I'm just like you guys, but it was not raining.
But it was raining.
But it was raining that night. So then he was able to sort of hide his face because he's obviously not of Thai descent. So by hiding his face, he didn't have to reveal that he was a British prisoner.
Right.
Because they couldn't see his face. He walked right past the remaining guards that were posted and toward the street. He took a taxi to an apartment. There, he says that a Chinese friend of his left him a passport, which he used to board a plane to Singapore. He remarked that there is nothing better than the suction sound of an airplane door being sealed.
Oh, I'm sure.
However, he's not done, because Singapore not only had the death penalty, but would have probably expedited him back to Thailand immediately. So he was nervous during his layover because of the risk of detection, and he had an outstanding warrant, I guess, still from Australia for something else he had done before going to Thailand. He is sitting here in Singapore and goes, okay, I'm not going to get put to death here. I don't want to go back and get like tortured and put to death there. So he jumped on a plane to Pakistan. Since he had connections from earlier in his smuggling career, he went under the protection of a tribal leader of what was called the Magsi clan and started smuggling for them.
Why not?
Yeah.
Just get right back to it. Hey, you know what? If you fall off the horse, you guys, get back on. That's also David's advice.
Yeah.
Bring an umbrella and get back on the fucking horse.
Have you ever seen that stupid meme that's like, marriage is hard, divorce is hard, choose your hard, being broke is hard, being disciplined is hard, choose your hard.
Probably.
It's like the dumbest thing.
People, right?
But like
stupid
his would be like, smuggling is hard, being extradited to a Thai prison is hard. Choose your hard.
Choose your hard.
Let's go smuggle some shit. So he then, of course, like he seems to do, he was captured during an operation smuggling in Pakistan. A courier who had been caught as well ratted him out and said, oh, he was involved, and pointed the finger at him. He was thrown in a dungeon prison, but his friend Lord Magsi got him out of the prison. When he went to trial, the judge who tried him acquitted him because he said that despite what this other guy said, there was no other evidence to show that he was involved in smuggling. They didn't find drugs on him and they hadn't found false paperwork. He was let go. He arranged for new passports, and ultimately he returned to London in 1999. So I guess he was in Pakistan for a while because his escape was 1996. He was probably in Pakistan for like around 3 years before he went back to London in 1999.
Oh, because he could have gone to London earlier and Singapore might have still extradited him back.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
he was like trying to he was very well known for being an escaped prisoner in Singapore. He had just gotten out of prison in Australia and was wanted for breaking his parole, right? Because he was out on parole. They would have seen him walking around and been like, oh, you went to Thailand. And then, it would have been a mess.
Yeah.
So basically, I think he was laying low by smuggling in a different country. Do what you gotta do, baby. Whatever makes your life happy. Back in London, big surprise, David gets arrested in 2002 for smuggling 500 grams of a Class A drug. And serves 2 years in prison. He got out, was arrested again in 2012 and sentenced to 6 years, but released in 2014. During this time, after he came back, he actually published his autobiography in 2008, which was called Escape, and started appearing on some TV shows. He appeared as a guest star on one show in 2009, and then again, some programs in 2011. He starts very publicly telling his story. And of course, the people in Thailand are like, okay, this is the dude that's wanted for smuggling and that we're supposed to put to death. So the Thai government started extradition proceedings for him in 2014. And though some of the judges, I guess, on the extradition board or committee or whatever said that he should stay present because it would be bad to extradite him back to Thailand because of some human rights issues, one of the judges voted against him. So he was actually a few weeks away from being extradited back to Thailand. For some reason, the Thai government withdrew the request to extradite based on technical reasons, is what they said.
That's fucking lucky.
Yeah.
That's a horror movie. Imagine escaping this prison hell, going and living life for years.
Right.
And then getting sent back there and probably getting beaten to death.
Or immediately executed. That's why what spurned his he was going to a prison that was known as like the biggest, worst prison in Thailand. He was not going to have a personal butler and chef. He was probably going to be tortured and treated horribly like the rest of the prisoners and then ultimately executed.
Yeah, no thank you.
And they weren't going to send him back to the nice prison when he went back, obviously.
Not the Hilton.
No. Days since escape incidents, 0. He's still wanted in Thailand to this day. He still has like an open warrant out for his arrest or whatever. It's a death penalty offense, what he did there. So he's not going back anytime soon. I found a couple news articles from more recently to talk about what he's doing currently. He lives there was an article about escaped smuggler walks around the streets of London. And so he works at a blue collar worker job, packages up things at a factory for a living. He lives a smuggling free life. He says it's all behind him.
Yeah, right. I'm sure David's doing a little smuggling for funsies on the weekend. He's like, what, you want me to deliver that package?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you.
What'd you say? Your wife doesn't let you have coffee anymore? You bet. Here's a can of oil for your car, buddy. He's doing it, but he's doing like the legal version. He has a romantic partner. Her name is Jeanette, and she's an interior design consultant. The weird one detail I found about her. They actually did an article where she was interviewed called Why I Married a Wanted Man. She said that getting together actually changed both of them for the positive. They had both been through so much negativity in their lives, and she was actually amazed when she started really talking to him how incredibly humble and kind he was as a person. She's like, he's this great guy. He just happens to smuggle drugs. He actually had known her first husband. Her first husband was a diamond smuggler who ended up in the same Thai prison as David was. After he escaped and he got back, he met up with her and started to tell about prison and talked about how, I guess, her husband was doing. I don't know how you leave somebody who's in a Thai prison, but she like left her husband or stopped waiting for him and decided to be with David. She says she's not worried that he will reoffend or she says she really hopes, but she thinks that he's not going to. Basically, why would he lose everything they have? They have this incredibly fun, nice life together, and she doesn't think he would risk losing that. Love changes people, I guess.
Sounds like an addiction, like gambling.
Maybe.
It sounds like a little bit of like a gambling addiction. Like he loved to gamble his freedom. But
yeah, a little bit. That's what he said. He was basically like, I know I sound excited talking about this because
I was.
The work is super exciting. It was. He's been on a ton of things. Like we said, he published one autobiography in 2008. It's called Escape. And then a second book in April of 2017 called Unforgiving Destiny, The Relentless Pursuit of a Black Marketeer, which is, I guess, the second autobiography, which details his experiences in Afghanistan and Thailand, his 2016 trial. He actually narrated the book, and it's been on Audible since 2021. So you can listen to quirky Mr. McMillan tell his own smuggling love story. He was part of an Australian TV show in 2011 based on his smuggling, arrest, and imprisonment. And there was an accompanying book called McVillain. See what we did there? The Man Who Got Away, that was published by a publishing company named McMillan in 2011. Weird. And he has his own YouTube channel. So if you go look up, and a website. So if you look up davidmcmillan.net, there's stuff that he publishes about himself and his books. And he also says that he repeats a lot of his story and parts of his life on his YouTube. So I think you can find him on his YouTube channel too. But that is the story of David McMillan, Thai prison escapee.
All right. I am like tripping because
wild.
I'm like, okay, so I thought I knew about this from Locked Up Abroad, and then I don't. And I definitely thought this story was like different. So now I have no fucking clue.
But it's not unsolved.
Hey. We know where he is. There's a conclusion.
I didn't have a chance to read his autobiography before we did the episode, but now I kind of want to go back and read it because this guy is kind of funny as hell when you hear him talk. And I know we didn't cover all the details of all of his, building his smuggling empire. So I'm sure that's covered in his own books, but we wanted to focus on his escape because that's the cool part anyway.
And now you guys know, if you're in prison listening to this, we just gave you some hot tips. You're welcome. From David's mouth to Fallon's mouth to your ears.
To David's mouth to, can we say that a different way? David's mouth to Fallon's mouth.
From David's mouth to Fallon's brain to Fallon's mouth to your ears.
Your brain. Okay.
Something like that. Something like that. Well, guys, thanks for being here. We will see you next time. Go to tsfuthepodcast.com for everything. I didn't win bingo. That was like it. Yeah, it was a wild card, and I didn't get any bingo. But yeah, play bingo with us. Check out our Patreon. Blah bitty blue. And that was real as fuck, Fallon.
And real fucked up.
Dun 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 dun. A little less fucked up than usual, actually, which I'm not gonna lie, breath of fresh air.
I know.
It's intense around here sometimes.
When you're like escaping torture in a Thai prison, so much lighter than our normal stuff.
God, it's just it's a breath of fresh air. We are fucked. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bum 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 bum. That's fucked up. I'm so fucked up. Can't you see? It's just really fucked. That's fucked up.